At 1:44 in the morning, a phone received a call. That is confirmed. That is on record. And that single data point is where one of the most forensically complex disappearance cases in 2026 begins. Her name is Nancy Guthrie. She is 84 years old. She lives in the Catalina foothills in Tucson, Arizona. She is organized, deliberate, and careful about her routine. On the evening of January 31st, she had dinner at her daughter's home. Her son-in-law drove her back. Her garage door closed at 9:50 p.m. Everything was normal. Then 1:44 arrived. By 1:47, a masked figure appeared on her doorbell camera. By 2:28, her pacemaker transmitted its final signal. 3 timestamps, 90 minutes, and Nancy Guthrie has not been found. Here is what we are going to do in this video. We are going to break down every confirmed piece of evidence in this case, system by system, fact by fact, and we are going to show you exactly what each piece proves and what it does not. By the end of this video, you will understand why investigators are focused on a specific 41-minute window. You will also understand why the pacemaker data from that night may be the most important unspoken evidence in this entire case. This is not speculation. This is the evidence. If AutoVex crime is new to you, this channel works cases the way investigators do. Evidence first, conclusions after. Subscribe now before we get into what the record actually shows. 3 systems recorded 3 events that night, and the first one connects a specific phone number to everything that followed. Nancy was home. The garage was closed. And sometime between 9:50 p.m. and 1:44 a.m., someone decided they were ready. What the evidence actually recorded. Every piece of evidence in this case comes from a system, and every system has design limits that determine exactly what it can record. That distinction matters more than anything else in this investigation. Start with the phone call log. At 1:44 a.m., a call connected to Nancy's device. The carrier logged it. The device logged it. That is confirmed. But here is what the log does not tell you. It does not tell you whether Nancy answered. It does not tell you what was said. It does not tell you where the caller was standing when they dialed. A missed call and a full conversation look identical in a carrier record. But the only indicator of whether a conversation actually happened is call duration. And even that is ambiguous for very short calls. Now, the doorbell camera. At 1:47 a.m., a masked individual entered the camera's field of view. The feed went dark. That is confirmed. But the camera does not tell you who that person is. It does not tell you how long they had been at the property before entering the frame. It does not independently connect them to the call 3 minutes earlier. The camera recorded presence. Nothing more. Now, the pacemaker. This is where this case gets forensically significant in a way most coverage has missed. Nancy's pacemaker transmitted its last known signal at 2:28 a.m. Modern cardiac devices transmit wirelessly to a bedside home monitor. If Nancy moved out of range of that monitor, the device stops transmitting. But it keeps recording internally. The 2:28 timestamp is not necessarily the moment something happened to Nancy. It may be the moment she was moved away from the home monitor's range. Those are 2 completely different conclusions drawn from the same timestamp. 3 confirmed data points. 3 independent systems. The narrative connecting them is an inference, a compelling one. But the investigation's job is to build the evidence that makes that inference provable. One question keeps surfacing above all others, and it starts with 3 minutes. The call is logged. The camera is dark. The pacemaker has gone silent. Now the question is what those 3 facts, taken together, actually force us to conclude. 3 minutes. That is the gap between the 1:44 call and the 1:47 camera appearance. 3 minutes is not a long time. But in this case, 3 minutes is everything, because what happened inside that gap determines the entire scope of this investigation. Here is what 3 minutes is consistent with. If the caller was already at or immediately adjacent to the property, 3 minutes is the time between placing the call and walking to the front door. One person, one plan, one execution. But here is what 3 minutes is also consistent with. The caller was not at the door. The caller was nearby, in a vehicle, a block away, and their role was specific. Confirm Nancy was awake. Produce the response that brought her to the door. The masked individual was already in position. The call record leads to the coordinator. The camera leads to the executor. 2 people, 2 roles, 1 operation, because this is where the evidence stops being abstract. Here are the 5 things the confirmed record establishes about whoever was involved that night. 1. They had a phone number Nancy recognized, or a voice she trusted at 1:44 in the morning. 2. They knew how to disable the doorbell camera at the exact moment it mattered. 3. They had been at that property before. On January 11th, 20 days earlier, the same individual conducted a confirmed reconnaissance visit. 4. Blood with Nancy's DNA was found at the front threshold. The event anchored itself to the front door. 5. They managed the entire sequence, call, camera, entry, and whatever followed, within a 41-minute window while an 84-year-old woman with a pacemaker was present. That is not a profile of someone who improvised. That is a profile of someone who prepared. The investigation has that profile. Yet the investigation has the call record. What the investigation has not yet produced is an arrest. Does the 3-minute gap tell you 1 person or 2? Drop your read in the comments right now. I want to see what this community thinks before we get to the next chapter. Every piece of evidence points in a direction. The question is whether they all point toward 1 person, or toward something more coordinated than a single individual acting alone. What the investigation knows. The investigation has built an evidence portrait, and that portrait is specific. The call record points to a number Nancy recognized. An 84-year-old woman with a deliberate routine does not answer her phone at 1:44 in the morning for a stranger. She answered because she knew, or believed she knew, who was calling. That means the caller's number was saved in her contacts, or their voice was familiar enough to trust. The January 11th reconnaissance visit points to someone who had been at that property at least 20 days before the disappearance. They were not learning the location that night. They already knew the camera positions, the approach routes, and the timing of activity inside the home. The designation investigators gave this individual, January 11th, tells you they connected the same person across multiple confirmed dates. The camera disabling points to someone with specific knowledge. Doorbell cameras fail in specific ways: physical removal, power interruption, network disruption, or remote credential access. Each method requires a different level of access and technical knowledge. The method used that night is a forensic indicator the investigation holds. It narrows the pool of people who could have executed it. Now, here is the detail that reframes everything. The evidence describes someone with inside access to Nancy's life, her contacts, her camera system, her routine. If this case matters to you, subscribe to AutoVex Crime. This is the level of analysis we bring to every case on this channel. Blood at the front threshold. A masked figure the camera recorded for seconds before going dark. A phone number the investigation has held since the beginning. The evidence portrait is detailed. The suspect pool it describes is narrow. And yet, no public arrest. The evidence points to someone with inside knowledge of Nancy's routine, her contacts, and her camera system. Who in someone's life fits that description? Tell me what you think that means. The investigation has the call record, it has the camera footage, it has 41 minutes of pacemaker data. What it has not yet produced is an arrest. What hasn't been found here is the detail this case has not discussed enough. Nancy's pacemaker stores data internally, even when it stops transmitting to the home monitor. Modern cardiac devices buffer days to weeks of cardiac event data in their internal memory. That internal log keeps recording regardless of range. If the device was ever recovered, by investigators, by a hospital reader, by any compatible device, that buffered data uploaded automatically. That means the biological record of what Nancy's heart experienced during and after those 41 minutes may exist right now on a remote monitoring server. Her cardiac rhythm, her stress response, the precise timestamps of every pacing event the device delivered. That data cannot be staged. It cannot be moved to create a false impression. It is the body's own recording of what happened. Nancy Guthrie has not been found. No arrest has been publicly announced. The FBI is active. The reward stands at approximately $1.5 million. She had dinner with her family on January 31st. Her son-in-law drove her home. Her garage closed at 9:50 p.m. She was careful, she was deliberate. She did not open that door for a stranger. Whoever she opened it for, the investigation has their number. If the pacemaker's internal memory was recovered and analyzed, what do you think those 41 minutes recorded? Leave your read below. FBI tip line, 1-800-CALL-FBI. Online, tips.fbi.gov. Subscribe to AutoVex Crime. Nancy Guthrie deserves answers. Every case matters, every clue counts.